How many self-storage units can you build on an acre? What's the ideal size of land to build self-storage? Too small, you won't make any profits. Too big, it might take too long to fill up. We're going to talk about the ideal size to develop a storage facility. Want to build a profitable self-storage facility? Here's the right amount of land you need to make a profitable storage business. Before you buy land for self-storage, you need to know this. The difference between success and failure comes down to the right size of property, and we're going to jump into what that size is. By the end of this video, you're going to know the ideal size of land to buy, the cost associated with developing it, and then what to look for in a site like we do here at Patriot Holdings. So you want to get into storage. You know that there's land available for sale, or you own a piece of land and you want to build a storage facility. What's the ideal size? 3 to 5 acres. That is a good sweet spot. If you have less than that, I'm not saying you can't build a facility on it, but you might not be able to build it to scale. If you're looking to build 3 or 4 stories high and you're located in a dense city, then yeah, an acre could work and you can build that type of facility, but there's going to be large costs involved. Your development costs could be up to $150, $200 a square foot or more. And if you're looking to build a small facility on an acre, then you might not get enough units that are going to make them profitable. That sweet spot is 3 to 5 acres, and the target you want to build is at least 40,000 square feet. This is going to give you roughly 300 units, and this is what buyers are looking for. This is a size that you can make money, make profits on the facility, and it's going to open up the pool to a large amount of investors and create cash flows for you where you can cover your operating costs and still be able to generate enough revenue that you have a profitable business. Why is that 40,000 number so critical? Well, your development costs start to get really high. If you're only putting 10,000, 20,000 square feet, that's going to be cost prohibitive. And the facility's not going to have a big buyer pool out there that's going to want to buy it because you can't cover the cost to manage it with that small amount, unless you're willing to manage it yourself, and that's not fun. You want to be able to hire management companies or teams to come in and be able to run the facility so you can sit back and go build more facilities or retire and enjoy your life. Why don't you go out and build 100,000 square feet of storage? Well, unless you live in an area that has absolutely no storage, which I don't think there's any left in the United States, if there's actual people living there, then it's going to take so long to lease up that your return on investment might not kick in until 6, 7, even 10 years down the road. Right around 40 to 60,000 square feet, that's perfect, where you're going to be able to fill it and make profits without waiting a decade to hit that. How do we underwrite land costs? Well, we cannot pay too much money for land with self-storage investing. There's only so much profit a facility can generate. So if you look at building a 40,000 square foot facility, you want to calculate the land to be no more than $10 to $20 per square foot of buildable buildings. Meaning, if you're building 40,000 square feet, you'd like to pay less than $400,000 for the land. This is just a good rule of thumb. Every market's different, but at my firm, Patriot Holdings, we do our own developments. And in high rent markets, say outside of Boston, we're willing to pay up to $20 a square foot per rentable square foot of storage. So we could pay $800,000 for a 40,000 square foot facility development. Now in some other smaller markets, maybe a small town in Connecticut or New Hampshire, we wouldn't be willing to pay more than $10 a square foot, so we'd have to get the land for less than $400,000 to make the project profitable. We're gonna get into how to calculate your ROI on your development in different videos. Yet know this rule of thumb, because this is going to be critical. You do not want to be in a piece of land for more than the value that you can actually build on, because you're not going to make profits and it's going to be a long, drawn out process. So what are the actual costs to build the facility? Well, this can be all over the place in terms of what the site conditions are on that piece of land. But general rules of thumb. It could cost you on the low end $50, maybe $60 a square foot if you have the perfect site, meaning it's perfectly flat, it's cleared, there's no trees on it. It has a nice grade where water can drain easily. There's easy access off the highway or the road. All these site conditions add up significantly, and your site work, we're gonna get into it, is gonna be one of your biggest costs. Yet buying the right site that has the right attributes, that's gonna save you a lot of money up front. So with that being said, if the site has a lot of hills, or you're going to have to build 2 stories, or there's a significant drainage issue where you're going to have to build a retention pond on the site where all the water is going to drain into, now your cost could be at $60 to $70 a square foot. Now, if the site has a lot of hills and a lot of site work required, there's special facade requirements where some of the towns make you put on a beautiful front glass office, or specialized black fencing. This is going to cost more for the facility, and you could be at that $80 to $90 a square foot. Also, if you add climate control units, meaning if you heat the unit or you cool the unit and you make sure that the humidity is not too high where people's things will get damaged, that's going to cost more to build that facility, and that'll be in that $80 to $90 a foot range. Now, this is assuming you do the work yourself. You hire a general contractor, that could cost you 10% more. And if you're starting out, then you probably want to hire a general contractor on the first project so they can manage all these different trades. What trades are really important in the industry? Well, there's 6 key trades to building a storage facility. And if you're thinking of developing real estate, storage is the easiest type of property to build, in my opinion. So the 6 key trades: number 1, site work. Pay for a good site work contractor. Pay for a good reputation. That's really, really important. This is going to be your biggest cost. This is the way that the land is graded. This is the platform that you're putting the actual buildings on. Number 2, concrete. If you don't pour concrete correctly, if there's not a professional managing that part of the project, you could create a disaster. You need the right concrete slabs. You need it to specs that your engineer gave you. It's super important to get the concrete right because that's going to be the foundation of your building. Number 3, paving. Paving is critical because paving factors in drainage. If water goes back into your units, you just damaged everyone's stuff, and it is a nightmare problem. So hire a reputable paving company to be able to get the water to drain. There's no puddles, there's no ice, and you're not damaging people's goods. Number 4, pick the right building supplier. Self-storage is really neat because you buy the buildings pre-manufactured, meaning all the pieces are already in place and they ship them to the site. I recommend a company called Tracti. They are a great starter kit where they have high quality buildings, they're well built, they're dependable, they hold their price. Steel goes up and down, the price of steel, and if steel goes up, we want to make sure that building supplier holds their price that they quoted you, and then most importantly as well is timing. Make sure that the buildings show up when they're supposed to be there because that's a big factor in your project being profitable. So get the right building manufacturer. Tracti is an excellent company, and use the preferred erector. This is the person that actually puts the pieces together. They build the building on the concrete slab. I would go with that preferred manufacturer's erector. That way they know what they're doing. They're not starting from scratch, and they build hundreds of buildings a year. Even in my development company, we hire the professional erector to build the buildings, and it's well worth the cost. Number 5, fencing. Fencing is the face of the property. You want quality fencing, and you are protecting people's things. So if it's not perceived as being safe, then what are people paying for? So fencing, gates, these are important to create that illusion of safety, even though I'm sure someone could get in there and get into a unit if they had to, but you want to create that nuisance, that barrier, that protection for people's things, and it needs to be high quality. Number 6, an electrician. It's really important to hire the right electrician because they're going to be putting your electrical lines in the property while all these other trades are going on. They can install your lighting, and this is what really dresses your facility up. A well-lit facility creates that perception of safety, and it makes people feel safe. So when we're talking about developing storage, we talk a lot about security. And what I find many times is with the lack of affordable housing, people are going to try to live in your storage units. You might have seen it on some videos here on YouTube. People will actually live in the unit. You are not allowed to do that. Towns do not like people living in your storage facilities. So not only are we protecting people's goods, we're trying to protect the units from people squatting inside them. So the camera, the security, the lighting, it's not only to protect people's belongings, it's to make sure people don't live in the units. I'd love to hear your comments. Have you ever tried to live in a storage unit? Or have you seen a video or seen anyone living in a storage unit? Leave the comment down below. I'll tell you some of my crazy stories. So now you know who to hire when building your facility. You know how much land you're going to need for your facility. You know how much the facility costs. The next step is how do you find the right location? In the next video, I want to go into what are the best locations for self-storage? How do you make sure you don't get burned when buying a piece of land for self-storage? And in the future, what are you going to look for to pay for that piece of land in order to make a profitable project? So click on the link below. We'll give you the calculator at patriotcalc.com. This is our calculator where you can put in a development project, see the returns, and we're going to dig into the nitty-gritty on the next video. And in that next video, we'll show you how to use that calculator and how to go make the right investment for you.